Cuomo and the Robinhood CEO, he's got him squirming. Ooh, let's see what our #1 himbo had to do.
Chris, thank you for...
I had to say to the fucking Robinhood CEO. Man, that was really good.
Having me. This is surreal for me. I've been watching your show a lot, especially through this past year.
Well, I appreciate it. Look, you know my audience. This is not an investment show, and I don't think it needs to be. I don't really care about your capital commitments, your liquidity, and what was going on in the regulatory.
Oh, he's like, yo, you're a fan? God forgive me, but I'm about to gobble your fucking last ghoul over here.
Hey. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but I want you to address the obvious. This looks like a...
Look at his face. He went from like, oh, I'm so excited to be on the Chris Cuomo show to like, oh, fuck.
Move by an outfit called Robinhood, which is supposed to be taken from the rich and given to the poor, and doing exactly the opposite. That when the big guys, including one of your main investors in your company, started to lose, you shut down the game to starve the little guy. Fair criticism.
That's not what it is at all. And I know you started this segment. It really resonated with me because you described the story of Robinhood. Robinhood started 5 years ago by pioneering commission-free, no-account minimum mobile investing. And we've been the spokesperson of the individual investor. And our whole goal as an institution is to enable those customers, empower them, and give them access to the markets. Because for the longest time, markets have been only accessible to the wealthy. And so the entire industry adopted our business model in 2019, and in 2020
I just want to say, look at all you fucking Benedict Arnolds, dude. Shot up back to fucking 67K right after AOC went offline. I see you. You understand? Hey, look at me. Look into my fucking eyes. I see you. Oh, I couldn't stand Hassan talking over AOC, so I had to go over there. Hey, you fucking, I see you, motherfucker. I see you. I'll be here. Yeah.
We added...
Look into my third eye, actually. My third eye, my zit. Look into it. Reveals the world's secrets.
Millions of new customers. The entire industry added millions of new customers who took advantage of the market rally and became investors for the very first time. So, you know, we had to make a very difficult decision to protect our customers and our firm.
Why?
But we in no way...
why? Explain why you had to do it if it wasn't to protect the guys who had shorted the stocks, which are the big hedge funds. How are you helping the little guy investors?
Well, I know that there's rumors around that, you know, we were directed by market makers or other market participants to do this. And I want to be 100% clear. This decision was not made on the direction of any market maker or other market participants. So why'd you do it? Decision. Robinhood, as a brokerage, has lots of financial requirements, SEC requirements. We have to put up money at clearinghouses. The amount of money that we have to put up depends on market volatility, and we're in a historic situation where there's a lot of activity and a lot of buying concentrated in a relatively small number of symbols that are going viral on social media. So we haven't really seen anything like this before. And to prudently manage the risk and the deposit requirements, we had to restrict buying in these 13 stocks. But customers that held them could sell throughout. Thousands of other securities and stocks on our platform were available to freely trade. And our #1 priority, as you mentioned, is to make sure our platform is reliable, stable for our customers. We're serving our customers and giving them the tools.
But that's exactly what's in question now.
We're doing everything in our power to turn it back on as soon as prudent.
But that's the thing, is that the trust is in question, because it seems like the only people who are getting hurt were the big shots. And that if they were benefiting from this, your small investors...
Aren't you glad we saw this earlier, this exact same script on CNBC? Before he went on CNN to say the exact same script?
Now believe that you wouldn't have shut down the game. And just one thing without getting in the weeds here. You don't control the listing venue for GameStop. Now, I used to work in finance, so I know this stuff, but the audience doesn't need to. The New York Stock Exchange does. So if anybody was going to control the listing and shut it down, It should have been them, but it wasn't. It was you. And the reason that they do it is very limited. They do it because they think there's evidence of fraud, or they think that there needs to be a material disclosure by the company that hasn't been made. And that's done to protect the investor. You check none of those boxes here because you don't control the venue. You didn't know about any information that GameStop or any of these other stocks needed to put out. You don't have any reason to believe there's fraud that you've articulated.
Damn.
And you're certainly not protecting these people who've been living the dream of making money, especially at the expense of the big guys. So why should people believe you did this for the right reasons?
God damn.
Well, we have no choice. We have to comply with all financial requirements. And
The SEC hasn't said you had to do this.
Well, lots of brokers have to comply with these financial requirements and have issued restrictions on.
So who restricted you? Who made you do this?
Some of these names, and this is a industry-wide thing. You yourself mentioned that other brokers this week have imposed restrictions, and not speaking for other firms, but for Robinhood in particular, this isn't because there's deals happening with market makers we route to or market participants.
But then why did you allow people to keep selling but not buying? The reason that is so troubling to people is that they were making money buying the stock because they were against the short side. And so by enabling them to sell but not buy, it sounds like you were allowing the hedge funds, and again, one of them owns a piece of you, and they had a big short position, and that looks like a stinky conflict that you didn't come out straight on from the start. Address that.
Well, none of that had anything to do with our decision to do this. Again, this was just looking at regulatory requirements, financial requirements.
Look, the only reasonable example here is if he literally says that they did not have enough cash, and that's why they had to fucking stop for a moment, go out and borrow, because if they have to pay out all these fucking people, they might not be able to do so. And that's why they went and borrowed from other financial institutions in the middle of the day, and then suspiciously said, tomorrow we're gonna get started. You can keep purchasing GME again. But that still doesn't make sense because, yes, they didn't even let people use their own cash and not just fucking margin calls either. Like, you can increase that. But it was unsearchable, right? It was literally unsearchable. Like, you could not purchase GME if you wanted to, even if it was on your own. So, even then, it doesn't make sense. It has to be market manipulation. But then again, I, as well as people who are actually clever and smart and much smarter than me, especially on this sort of stuff, like Alexis Goldstein said on AOC's stream earlier, speculate that it's not just fucking Wall Street bets and retail investors that were driving the stock price. So while an overwhelming amount of Robinhood retail investors actually own stake now, or actually own GME stocks or options, it still doesn't make sense. Like, they're not enough. They're not moving enough. They're not going to be able to move. They're not going to be able to put significant enough money to move the stock price all that much. And I don't believe that they did it on their own. It wasn't just Robinhood. It was all these other people on top of that. It was other institutional traders that were engaging in stock purchases as well outside of Robinhood. And that's the reason why the stock price moved as it did. Because I think people saw an opportunity to fucking, cannibalize a hedge fund, right? So even then, them taking this risk, basically, and trying to stop further purchases from occurring, it seems silly.
And we 100% will always protect our customers, where the entire business is operating to empower individual investors and has been since its founding. And that's what Robinhood is committed to continue to do. So we don't want to restrict buying in these 13 stocks. We're doing the best we can to re-enable it, as long as it's operationally and prudent from a deposit standpoint.
It is really fucking weird, though, that if you're a regular fucking trader, you're like almost every fucking outlet that you would use to continue buying GME made it so that you couldn't do that at a time when literally everyone else who's in the business and in the industry was able to freely fucking purchase it. So all these guys did was they ended up saying fuck you to the day traders and the retail investors. They said, you're not allowed to fucking do this. Step the fuck aside. We can continue doing it.
So for you, it's about how much money is in the mix and what you can cover yourself?
Well, it's about us complying with the financial and clearinghouse deposits and regulations.
Then you need, you know what you need? I'll give you some free advice. You need somebody who sets those requirements to come out and say that this is why this happened, because otherwise it smells bad, especially for a place called Robinhood, to have Citadel Securities, your largest customer, investing $2.75 billion to bail out one of the biggest losers in the GameStop short. You know, they both deny, you and Citadel say this wasn't concerted action or anything, but it looks terrible. So you need somebody to justify your decision. Do you think you can do that?
There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I'm not going to speak for what regulators or industry professionals will say, but you can talk to any of the brokers that have made similar restrictions, and I think they'll all tell you the same thing. And this is a highly regulated industry. It's non-negotiable for us to cooperate with the regulators, follow their guidance, and we're in constant communication with them. So we have to be extremely buttoned up here.
I heard you. Now I saw you on another channel. They were saying, so is it a liquidity issue? So Robinhood.
Oh, he watched it. Hey, he watched it over here, dude. I like to think that Chris Cuomo was in here. He's a Hasbov gaming frog, and he was watching us watch the CNBC interview together. In my dreams, I mean. Yeah. He was in here. He was over here. He was like, hey, how you fucking doing over here? Fuck you. This guy, I'm going to have him on my own fucking show over here.
Didn't have the money to control the flow. And you said, no, it's not the issue. We don't have a liquidity issue. Well, if you don't have a liquidity issue, but you say you're stopping the trading because you couldn't meet certain capital requirements, how does that reconcile with itself?
Well, we feel pretty good about the situation. And, we did this preemptively, right? We were looking at the deposit requirements. We were looking at the operational requirements. So we did this proactively, and we feel good about being able to re-enable these things. And we definitely want to make sure customers understand when we impose restrictions, when we lift them. Ultimately, brokers.
So it was a preemptive measure and not a requirement.
Have to impose these types of restrictions because the capital requirements can change. And we're in unprecedented times, and the financial system operates in very technical ways with regard to settlement and money movement. And there's no way around that. It's just the reality of our business.
I hear what your rationale is. But again, now we're going to be watching this story because you have political forces I've never seen aligned before who want to make sure that the big guy is not finding a way to get over on the little guy. Because the country, I think, has just about had it with that. So you're caught in the middle, and we'll be watching, and I hope you're acting in good faith and that the trading resumes and the market can settle itself. But Vlad Tenev, thank you for coming in and making the case for Robinhood.
Of course, when you forcibly start selling margin calls too, or when you don't allow people to buy and only sell, there's going to be some panic sellers that come out of that, and that's going to end up dipping the stock price a little bit. Now, it still doesn't matter because, you know, tomorrow is still around the corner, but I guess it's still.
Thank you very much. And absolutely, we want nothing more than to enable investing and access to as many individuals as possible. That's our mission, and it's in the name of the company.
Just got to make sure that something named Robinhood isn't rigging it for the sheriff of Nottingham. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to set it up where the little guy can win, they should be able to play fairly and see that happen.
But of course, little guy's not fucking gonna win, dude. I mean, look. There was a tweet about this on Twitter that I saw as well, and I've talked about this a little bit as well before, but like so many fucking congressmen and congresswomen engage with information that is not publicly accessible, okay? Now, they might be literally getting information from corporations, like in the case of David Perdue, okay, who, as you all know, he famously said was false, and he wasn't engaging in insider trading when the company that he has ties to, when one of the executives right before, I think, resigning, literally sent him an email, and he definitely took action on that information. Totally exonerated, though. The point is, these motherfuckers act on information that is not readily accessible to the public. Sometimes they literally keep lying to the public and spread the opposite of the information, like Kelly Loeffler did, that they themselves got from whatever their respective committees are that they're a part of, whether they're a part of the Intelligence Committee or whichever committee they're a part of that's informing them on the damages and the dangers of coronavirus and the economic impact that literally every single person can comprehend. And there is no action from the SEC. There's like a congressional investigation, and, you know, they're totally exonerated. But 5 minutes in to a bunch of fucking Reddit lords high on fucking Adderall and IPAs decide to fuck over a hedge fund because it's a smart exploit that they can take advantage of. And all of a sudden, we have congressional hearings coming up. We got fucking CEOs crying on television for the past 24 hours about how infinite growth is bad. We really need to put a lid on this. Like, what's going on? So many retail traders are making money. This is not good. What about the fundamentals? But just know that their priorities are elsewhere. If you think that, like, those who are supposed to regulate the stock market so it yields the best possible outcomes for everyone, well, you're wrong. That's not what the regulators' jobs is.